we're gonna show you how we drive
as wheelchair users. Well, every wheelchair user has a different level of function. We both use hand controls to drive. So what kind of hand controls do you use?
I use portable hand controls. They are not custom to a car, so you can buy them from basically any medical equipment store, even Amazon. They're really cheap, and I take them in and out myself.
I use permanently installed hand controls, and those are ones that were installed by the medical shop and bought through them. They do not come off of my pedals, and it's a push-to-rock system, which I'll show you.
I don't even see hand controls in here.
Yeah, obviously I use my feet to drive because like you can't even see them. That's the funny thing about hand controls that are permanently installed is they do look like just part of the car. I've been with a lot of people while driving who have said halfway through like an hour drive, oh, I didn't even notice that you were not using your feet. So the way my hand controls work is my pedals are down there, my feet stay on this platform, and I can use a push to brake and I pull down for the gas. One other piece is because I have one hand on my gas and brake at all times, I can reach over to my steering wheel to stabilize it, and I can use my index finger to reach my signals. But I do have a spinner knob for my other hand so that I can have one hand on the wheel at all times. And I have two spinner knobs. So these are my spinner knobs. This is the one I use the most. It's my palm grip. It's great if you don't have the dexterity or strength to just hold a knob. The other spinner knob I have is more of a pin. That's a single pin. You hold it, but you can stabilize your back of your hand and your wrist with the other end of it. So that's what this guy looks like. I prefer this one, but it is nice having two because when one is left out in the sun on a hot day and I get in my car, I can't drive right away if my spinner knob is just burning hot. So having another one in my glove compartment makes it so I can just jump in and go. And with these hand controls, they're also set up so that someone else can drive my car who doesn't use the controls, because the pedals are still free and able to work for someone who uses their feet to drive. And if someone is driving my car who doesn't use the hand controls, I can use a locking mechanism on here so that you can use the brake, but you can't use the gas.
There are a few hazards of driving as a wheelchair user.
Dearie, do you know that this is a disabled parking spot?
Yes, I have 4 wheelchairs in my car right now.
Oh, whoa, let me help you out, let me help you out.
I don't need help, it's okay.
I got it, I'll put it in the trunk for you, it'll be so much easier.
That's very bad. So my minivan isn't adapted, meaning I don't have a ramp in it and it doesn't lower down. So there are a few methods of getting into a car which isn't set up for a wheelchair user, and I'm gonna show you the one that I use. This works for me because my chair is quite narrow, but if you have a wider chair than mine, then I know that some people take out the middle seat and then it allows you to have a little bit more room. Okay, so these are the portable hand controls that I use. They are not custom to my car, so you can adjust the height and the width, and they just clamp onto the pedals. They attach to the steering wheel with the strap, and to brake with these hand controls, you push down, and to press the gas, you pull up. I really like these because I just find that the motion of going up and down is really simple and more intuitive to me than the push to rock that RJ has. It's kind of like when you're driving with your feet, you know how far down your foot is. This just gives me a sense of where in space the hand controls are. And I can also kind of steer with my thumb, which means that I can be one-handed and take a sip of coffee or turn signal or anything like that. So another common way of getting a chair into a non-adapted car without a ramp is to take it apart. Usually the wheels come off and you pull the frame, lift it over your body into the passenger seat.
So I love driving. I think it really gives me a sense of freedom, and I'm not in my chair and I get to go, faster than I can roll. I find that there's a lot of restrictions on your life with a disability, and being able to drive just gives me one less restriction.
There's a convenience aspect with it as well. Like, it can be difficult to carry a bunch of stuff or move around in the winter when it's snowy. So I think that just being able to as easily as possible, hop in a car and drive somewhere to meet people or play a sport or anything like that just opens up a world of independence that you would otherwise need someone's help with.
I think that's exactly it. Driving with adaptations is not easy in the way of, like, there's a lot of stuff that has to go into getting to this point. But once you have it in place, it's just like this is just part of your life. This is what I know now.
It's just a new normal.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where you hardly even think about it. Like, you load your chair into your car and drive off using the hand controls, and you don't even question it because you're so used to it.
It's nice when you get to that point. I'll tell you, it wasn't until maybe 2 years in that I really felt like this is just my new normal. Like, I was still getting really, really annoyed with loading and unloading my chair. And I think I probably would still get annoyed with loading and unloading my chair if I had to take it apart.
It's definitely easier without needing to... Oh my gosh, taking my chair apart is like the most frustrating thing.
I remember I would just sit in my car for like lengthy amounts of times, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And just when I got home and be like, I'm just gonna sit here because I don't want to unload my chair. And then I'd unload my chair and it took me like 20 seconds. Like, you get really good at it, but you just dread it because you've had to unload your chair like 5 times that day. Yeah.
It gets really annoying, and it's a repetitive thing that hurts your shoulders after a while as well. I can't even say how many times I've honked my horn by accident by pulling my chair over. Everyone looks around.
Not the accidental horn honk. Why I went to getting a wheelchair van was, first of all, I got a power chair. Power chairs you can't take apart. You have to get a van for them to transport. And then the second element was I didn't like how hard it was on my body to take apart my chair all the time and put it back together. And I was reluctant because I kept hearing all these narratives of like, oh, like a van isn't cool. And like, fair enough.
I love my minivan.
But I think it's actually pretty cool. And it's very cool being able to like transport our surfboards and stuff and our gear.
Yeah.
And when you're really athletic, I think that's and want to go like camping, right? Like having a small car is actually really impractical at times.
Definitely. It's so convenient to have a van, especially as a wheelchair user. I mean, even driving here today, we're filming a video about basketball after this, so I have 3 basketball chairs plus my day chair plus whatever other stuff I have in my minivan, and I could put it all in and take it out myself and bring it all in one trip. It's so convenient.
Alrighty.
Beautiful.
We're back.
I made it back. Most people that are a part of an inpatient rehab facility after an injury will have driving rehab as part of their rehabilitation process. How did you get into driving?
So I never did inpatient, and I'm on outpatient at our rehab center. So for me to get into driving, I did the outpatient driving rehab. You have to pay for the program, and then an occupational therapist, also known as an OT, evaluates what kind of controls you would need to drive, what adaptations, and if you're in a position where they can say you're safe to drive. So for me, that meant you had to go through like physical exam testing and cognitive testing, and then they tested my reaction speed to responding to a red light. And then when at the end of that appointment, I had gotten to try in the office a few different controls. So I tried that push to rock, I got to try a few spinner knobs, and we figured out which ones would work best for me. And then the next appointment was actually me doing a driving lesson with a local driving school where I had the instructor in the passenger side seat, me in the driver's seat, and my OT in the back seat. and we're kind of doing like a driving assessment while teaching me how to use these hand controls. It was a really neat experience. I felt like I was 16 again, learning how to drive. The process for me only took, I think it took a month and a half, start to finish. And once we were done with the lessons, they said, you know what, you're good to go. They gave me a prescription of what controls I needed. I brought that to my local medical shop, which here is Lawton's, and they ordered the controls, brought me in with my car, and same day installation for the controls. And then I drove home with them. I found driving home, I did want someone else kind of following behind me or with me, because I was a little apprehensive to be on the highway with my own controls, but it wasn't as bad as I had worked up in my mind. It's kind of like what do they call, like riding a bike, you just, once you get it, you're good.
Well, driving with hand controls isn't physically difficult. It's actually quite intuitive for most people. It does take some time and practice to get comfortable with using your hand instead of your foot to be second nature when you're driving. So you have to be careful, because when you first start, you might not have the instinct to push down on your hand for the brake rather than stick out your foot if someone swerves in front of you or something like that.
So I found one other thing I had to figure out was my body position in my driving seat, because I found I was getting a little bit too having to push forward, to have to adjust my seat forward. There was discussion of if I had to use a strap around my chest. We ended up going with I don't have to, but my current seating position actually keeps my knees really high up, which is my workaround for not having to use a chest strap.
Yeah, I find that it's really interesting. You have to sit so much closer to the steering wheel. I have really long legs, so when I was driving using my feet, I had to sit pretty far back, and then I used the same seating position when I started using hand controls, and I was way too far. I'd have to lean forward to press the brake all the way down. But you're really thinking about your proximity with your arms rather than your legs, so it feels a little bit different when you start.
Yeah, being so close to the steering wheel was almost eerie for me.
Yeah.
When I got permanent hand controls installed, one thing I didn't know at the start was that they had to actually take out one of the airbags, not all, but one of your airbags, so that if that airbag went off, it didn't put the hand controls into you, which is okay. You're allowed to do that. The medical shop will take it out. But if you go to resell your car, you do have to have it put back in by the dealership. The medical shops don't like to reinstall airbags. They'll only take them out. So that was a tricky thing. I sold my little green car where I used to do the taking my chair apart and tossing it in. And it was a fiasco of trying to get these hand controls taken out and then also get the airbag put back in, because the medical shop will do one, but the dealership will do the other. Let's talk about the cost of controls briefly.
Totally.
So my controls for my van were about $1,400 to get them ordered in and installed. But then the van itself, I got it used a little under $20,000, but new they're about $100,000 with all these conversions in them. So finding the funding can be tricky for that stuff. And then what's it for portable hand controls?
Yeah, portable hand controls are part of the reason that a lot of people use them, is that they're really inexpensive. They're only about $150 to $300 depending on what set you get, although they're all pretty similar in terms of quality. And yeah, you can buy them from pretty much anywhere, so they're much more accessible to people price-wise. There are grants out there that allow you to adapt vehicles.
And it can be really overwhelming, I think, when you get those quotes back and you're like, man, that's a lot of money, and how am I going to get that? And it's really helpful when you've established some of those relationships with those organizations that do provide funding. I find I'm less worried when I get a quote, because I'm like, okay, I know some people I can talk to about where I can go, what organizations can provide that funding for that type of equipment, and what their timelines are for it.
Definitely. I think a really valuable part of the process is talking to other wheelchair users who have adapted vehicles about their experiences and any advice that they have. Just having that community is really important.
Yeah. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching to the end.
Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the next video.